Hey friends, welcome back to Acre Homestead. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are doing a huge freezer cooking day, which I am thrilled about because I haven't had any freezer meals in my freezer for about a month to 6 weeks. I'm not exactly sure, which is not good because the reason I do freezer meals is so that we can have easy homemade meals that are healthy all the time, and I can just throw something in the oven and I don't actually have to think about dinner all the time. I sometimes get inspired and I make really nice meals, you know, the night of and things like that, but I don't want to have to think about cooking every single day because we try to eat at home as much as possible. And I can tell you that by not having these freezer meals in my freezer for the last 6 weeks or so, we've been getting takeout, which there's nothing wrong with takeout, but my husband and I prefer to eat at home. We feel better when we eat at home and we save a lot of money. We've got a couple projects around this house that we want to do, and one way that we save a ton of money is actually eating at home. And if you're new to my channel, I have a massive garden out there. I love to do home preservation and things like that. And I have a ton of food in my freezer, in my pantry, that I've put up from the garden, and if we're not eating it, then what was the point of all that work? So today we are going to be making probably about 24 meals-ish, and it is just my husband and I get a lot of questions about that. Why do I cook this much food if it's just my husband and I? So that we can have homemade meals every single day of the week, and I don't have to think about cooking every single day of the week. I can take 5 hours or so, make a big mess in the kitchen, clean it up, and then during the week I can just pull meals out, and all I have to do is think about sides and things. I don't have to worry about thawing meat, I don't have to worry about cleaning the kitchen, and that's why I do this. And we are comfortable eating leftovers, and that's what we eat for lunch. We don't go out to eat for lunch, we eat our leftovers that I cook for dinner. So the meals we are going to be making today, we are going to be making honey mustard pork roast. They're tenderloins. We're going to be making Korean beef and Korean chicken. A bunch of you guys had recommended making Korean beef when I did my Asian pear video, and I looked up a bunch of recipes and it looks fantastic. So we're going to make that. And I thought it'd be good to do a chicken and beef version. If I'm going to make the marinade, might as well do both. We are going to do chicken and biscuit. Basically, I make chicken pot pie, filling, and we put biscuits on the top. We're going to make shepherd's pie. One way when I do my freezer meals, I like to think of recipes that have some of the same components so that I can prep the same thing. Shepherd's pie, they have celery, peas, and carrots and onions in both of them. So I can make a big pot of that, and then I can divide it in half, and then I can cook the meat separately, and then it just makes it a lot easier. We're going to do creamy salsa verde enchiladas. We're doing that because I canned up a ton of salsa verde this year. We're doing pumpkin pasta. Tons of pumpkin we need to use up from the garden. The marinated chickens we're going to do, I love having just marinated chicken in the freezer. This way I can pull it out. The chicken's already marinated as it thaws, and then all I have to do is think of a vegetable and a side, whether it's potatoes, rice, pasta, something like that. The main part of the meal, the chicken, is done. When I first started watching freezer videos on YouTube, I was wondering, why would people make marinated meat and put it in the freezer? That doesn't make any sense. It takes no time to make marinated meat. The reason is, and I found this since I started doing it, is because when you pull that meat out of the freezer and you put it in your refrigerator, say in the morning, and it thaws, or the day before, it's going to sit in that marinade a lot longer. So I don't have to think the day before, the night before, the morning of to have to get a marinade going on a meat and having it sit in the refrigerator. Pull it out of the freezer, put it in the refrigerator, and it marinates all day long until you're ready to cook it. So that is why I love having homemade marinated meats. And all of these recipes we're going to be doing are from scratch. So I'm not going to be opening a bottle and throwing in a bottle of dressing and calling that a marinade. I'll show you how to make it from scratch so it's super easy and you can control the ingredients that go into your marinades. We are going to do Greek chicken marinade. We're going to do cranberry Catalina dressing marinade. This is an adapted recipe from Jennifer at A Country Life. She made it in one of her Croctober videos, and I thought, oh my goodness, that sounds so good. And I've been wanting to do it ever since I saw that. All of these recipes are going to be from scratch. They are going to be found in the description box at scratchpantry.com. If I deviate from the recipe just a little bit, just know I don't tend to follow recipes exactly. I use them as a guideline. And even if they are my own recipe, they don't always get followed to the T because, like I said, I have a big garden, and sometimes I'm going to be throwing things in there just because we have it and I want to use it up. So one example is right here. I forgot to mention we're doing stuffed shells too. And right here, I have some pasta sauce that I started last night, actually. I went through my freezer, and as I was pulling all the meat out to thaw, then I realized I had a ton of tomatoes that I needed to use up, and I needed to get them out of my freezer to create space. So I have in here some pasta sauce that's been cooking all night, and I actually pulled out some zucchini. And I want to cook this zucchini in the pasta sauce for the stuffed shells. You won't be able to taste it, but it will add some good nutrients to the sauce. It'll just kind of bulk it up a little bit. This pot was filled to about here with tomatoes, and it cooked way down overnight. I did throw in a bunch of onions, and now I'm also going to throw in a couple jars of marinara sauce that I actually canned up this summer. A couple things I did yesterday to prep for today. I got all the meat out of the freezer to thaw so we can actually work with it today. I have my potatoes here we still need to wash up, but I have my carrots washed up here. I did some prep last night, and the reason I did prep last night is I always like to start a freezer cooking day with an empty dishwasher. That way, as I'm cooking, I can put dishes right into the dishwasher and sure saves a ton of time when I'm going to clean up. I can clean as I go. My dishwasher was not completely full, so I didn't want to start it. So I thought I need to get some prep work done that's going to use some dishes so I can turn my dishwasher on. What I did is I shredded up all the mozzarella we need and all the cheddar cheese. I like to buy my cheese in bulk. I buy it through Azure Standard. I can get organic cheese for a great price. I will link them down in the description box if you're interested in knowing where I get my bulk food from. And I like to use my food processor because it goes a lot easier. So while I had my food processor out, I went ahead and I ground up a bunch of breadcrumbs. Anytime we have like hot dog buns or bread and they're leftovers, you know, like 1 or 2, I'll throw them in the freezer and then I'll grind them up for breadcrumbs. These are actually the bags. I just put the breadcrumbs back in the hot dog buns and the cheese back in the hamburger buns so I didn't have to mess up a Ziploc bag or anything like that. While I had the food processor out last night, I went ahead and peeled, I think this was like 5 heads of garlic, and I got them chopped up. So that just saved a ton of time pulling the food processor out one time, getting all this stuff done. I have some homemade pesto here that we're going to use in the stuffed shells. I grabbed all the cans that I think we're going to need. We might need some more cans, but if we do, I'll grab them. I got bowls out. I got some of my Instapot stuff. I grabbed some cream cheese out actually this morning so it get a little bit softer, and butter. When I unloaded my dishwasher this morning, instead of putting this away, I just put it here because I know we're going to use it. I pulled out all my baking dishes. When I do my freezer meals, I'm trying to get away from foil pans as much as possible, so I bought a bunch of these at Goodwill. And here, like I said, we have this cooking, which I think I need to turn, oh yeah, I need to turn this down. These were also in the dishwasher. Instead of putting them away, I just stuck them here because I know we're going to use them. So I like to empty my garbage can and put it right here. Orbit, get out of there. There's nothing in there you want yet, but I'm sure there will be later. And that way I have easy access to it. These little stinkers are going to hang out with me, so if you hear them in the background, this is Tibro, and the one that was just in here was Orbit. I want to say a huge thank you for all the love and support you guys have shared with me over the loss of Gizmo. Whew. Yeah, it's hard to lose a fur baby, isn't it? It's one of the toughest things, but I know that he's not suffering anymore, and I am grateful for that, and he will be missed. The stuffed shell recipe that we're making today is a vegetarian recipe. We're not vegetarians, as you'll see soon enough, but sometimes I do like to make vegetarian meals. But if you wanted to add sausage to this, you could add the sausage when you cook the onions, or you could add ground beef, whatever you like. This marinara sauce is already cooked. It doesn't need to be cooked down anymore. I'm just adding it in here to mix it in so we can have an even mixture. And I do want to cook that zucchini just a little bit more. So right off the bat, I did just use these jars for the marinara sauce. I gave them a little bit of a rinse, and I'm going to throw them right in the dishwasher. But what I want to do first is I actually want to get the meat cooking for the shepherd's pie. So let's get that going. In this pan, I have a little bit of olive oil that I just put in here, and we are going to put 4 pounds of ground beef. This is 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. I am going to take the red sauce off the stove. This is basically done. I don't need to cook that sauce anymore. I just wanted to kind of get that zucchini to melt in there. It does melt into it really well. That's one thing that I love about growing a ton of zucchini. So I actually add it into a lot of dishes. I probably will add it into some other dishes. We'll just see what we get to when we get to it. I don't have to chop the onions or the celery because those are in the freezer. Those I prepped and preserved up from the garden, so it makes my life a lot easier, but we do need to prep these carrots. These carrots have been washed and scrubbed really well. I did not peel them because they are homegrown. I really don't worry about the peels. I'm going to get enough chopped up here for both the, well, I was going to say shepherd's pie. I guess it's not technically shepherd's pie because we're not using lamb. It's cottage pie, but I still usually call it shepherd's pie. For that and for the chicken pot pie or chicken and a biscuit. So one thing is all the meat we are going to be cooking today is actually from ButcherBox. ButcherBox is a company I did a bunch of research on myself because they specialize in grass-fed, grass-finished beef and organic chicken and pork. You guys know, if you've been around here for any length of time, that I buy my beef from a local rancher. It's grass-fed, grass-finished, and that's really important to me. But that is not reasonable or realistic for everybody for two main reasons. One, it takes a lot of space to buy half a cow at a time, and that's typically what I do. And it's a huge investment upfront cost because you basically buy a year or 2 years worth of meat at one time, and it can be pretty pricey. But grass-fed, grass-finished is really important to me, and organic is really important to me when it comes to meat, when at all possible. And I thought, I talk about this all the time, grass-fed, grass-finished, but maybe there might be a way for people that can't afford to do that upfront cost, or you don't have the space to do that. But I wanted to try to find a way for you guys to have that as an attainable option for. And I found ButcherBox. I actually purchased with my own money a box, and I got a ton of stuff. I got mostly beef. It's a mail delivery service that actually comes to your door, and it is grass-fed, grass-finished beef, organic chicken. I want to be upfront with you. The day after I purchased my own box, they actually contacted me and asked if I wanted to be an affiliate for their company, and I said I would love to because I am that invested in your company. I actually purchased an entire box. So I have 2 boxes worth of ButcherBox meat, and we are going to do the whole entire meal with ButcherBox meat. I'm going to leave a link for them down in the description box. It is an affiliate, so if you buy through my link, I do get a little bit of a commission, so it helps support my channel. But you also get a discount, and you get $20 off your first 5 boxes, and you get free bacon in each one of your boxes. When I ordered my box, I actually got a free turkey because they always have amazing promotions. And when I ordered, I got a free turkey, and I knew I was going to be doing this freezer cooking day. So what I did is when I got it, I went ahead and I actually just cooked the turkey. I wrapped it in a foil pan. My favorite way to cook turkey is actually in the oven, low and slow for like 6 or 8 hours. I don't worry about getting the skin crispy. I want the meat nice and juicy and tender. So one thing we don't have to do today is actually cook the chicken, turkey, for the enchiladas because that is already done. So that's going to save us a ton of time. And I also have a couple of these packages of turkey in the freezer. I personally love turkey. I think it's underrated. When it is on sale right now, that's what I like to do. If you spend $100 at the grocery store, a lot of grocery stores have those promotions where you get a free turkey. And sometimes I will actually stock up on food staple items right now. This time of year, my chickens just distracted me. They're on my back porch. They're not supposed to. And I will get myself a couple free turkeys. I'll also fill up my pantry. I'll cook them up, and I'll have turkey in my freezer ready to go so that it's one convenient thing. I'm adding pepper. So I have pepper in here with the ground beef. Now I'm going to add a bunch of salt, maybe a couple teaspoons, and I'm going to let that cook. While this ground beef is cooking, let's get the carrots going. You know what? I take that back. I'm going to take a break from these carrots real quick because I need to get the filling for the stuffed shells done. Because I need that Dutch oven to cook the onions, the carrots, the celery, and things like that for the shepherd's pie. So what we're going to do is we are going to put some ricotta cheese in this bowl right here. I'm using this homemade pesto in this because I have it. If I didn't have it, I would just add a bunch of basil. Some mozzarella cheese that I pre-ground yesterday. Parmesan cheese. And 2 eggs. And mix to combine. I went ahead and I just put some water on to boil for the stuffed shells to cook those shells. We have to cook 2 types of pasta today. The shells and the penne for the pumpkin pasta. Normally I use rigatoni, but I don't have any, so we're just going to do penne today. I am putting in a Ziploc bag my ricotta mixture so I can stuff my shells using this method. I've never done it this way before, but I'm going to give it a try. I was going to, and tell me if I'm crazy or if this is a good idea, but I chickened out, so that's why I had to put a pot of water on to boil. I was going to stuff these shells in the uncooked shell, and I was going to put them in the freezer uncooked, just like I do my lasagna. When I make lasagna, I do not use the ready boil noodles. I just buy lasagna noodles, I put them in the lasagna, and then I cook them when I cook them in the oven. I chickened out, and I went ahead and I'm going to boil them because I've never done it before. Can you let me know if I'm totally crazy on thinking that I can, is really full. This is probably gonna be hard to do this. I don't know if this is a recycled Ziploc bag, so I'm not gonna waste a Ziploc bag if I cut this and it doesn't end up working. So tell me if I'm crazy or if you guys have done it and you guys have used stuffed shells and not actually cooked them first. So where we're at now is I have to wait for that pasta to cook. I think actually before I even do the carrots, I'm gonna get the potatoes washed up. I'm gonna get those in the Instapot. I've never cooked mashed potatoes in the Instapot before, but I might as well give it a try. And I can have these cooking in the Instapot while I have other stuff cooking. So I'm washing up, these are homegrown potatoes. I'm gonna cook these shells for 5 minutes. The box says 9, but when I do freezer meals with pasta, I like to reduce the time so they don't get soggy when you go to recook them. I turned the heat off this beef because the beef is completely done. Do you see how it's really browned and even sticking to the bottom of the pan? And how right there it's like caramely brown color? This is what you want. You don't want when you're browning meat for it to just be brown beigey like that. You want it caramelized. Like this piece right here. That's what's going to give you that flavor you want, and it's going to really increase the depth of flavor. So I'm going to let this deglaze the pan just by turning it off and letting it cool on here. You'll be able to scrape up all those brown bits. These are all homegrown potatoes I'm going to put in here. I've never cooked potatoes in the Instapot before, so I'm going to have to do some Googling to figure out how much time is needed. So we're going to figure out together if this works. So I'm going to put manual, and then let me mash potatoes in the Instapot. It says 8 minutes. How big were we supposed to cut them though? Because that could really depend. It says water to cover potatoes, and I did not do that. I only put probably 2 cups of water in there. So let's read another recipe. Oh, stop it. Okay, so this says, put potatoes in the Instapot and cover with about 6 cups of water, enough to completely cover. Okay, so 2 recipes said to do that. So let me redo that. Let me add more water. And then it says, that says cook on steam setting, which I don't know what that is. I don't have a steam setting. So one thing about the Instapot, I love my Instapot, but when you look at recipes online, they're always so different. Okay, what does this one say? For some reason, I don't want to cover it all the way with water. I don't know why I'm so resistant to that. Okay, come on. Where's the recipe? Here we go. Okay, this says 6 cups of water. So I am going to add some more water, which I'm not going to completely cover it. And this one says cook on high for 12 minutes. So we're going to do that because I don't have a steam setting. And these pasta is done. I'm going to pull this off right now. I want to reuse this hot water to cook the pasta for the pumpkin pasta. So I'm going to just ladle out this pasta here and put it in some cold water. Then I'm going to put some more water in here and I'm going to get it boiling and we're going to cook the pasta for the pumpkin pasta. I'm putting cold water on here to stop the cooking process. I'm going to put some more water in here, and then I'm going to put it on high for 12 minutes in the Instapot. This is pretty exciting. We're actually assembling something already, which is pretty great because this was super fast. I'm going to put some of this red sauce down here first. I think I did add way too much zucchini in this red sauce, and I should have cooked the zucchini with the tomatoes the whole time, but I will fix that for next time. So I just put in some more pasta into the cooking water so that we can get the pumpkin pasta going. I'm going to cut a little slit on this, and let's see if this is easier than spooning it with a spoon. This is working really well to use this bag. I think if I had to hold the bag, it would be too big and bulky and weird, but having it lean on the counter like this is working really well. So this red sauce is 100% homegrown except for the little bit of red wine that I put into it. So that is an awesome goal that I've achieved, and I'm pretty proud of that. I'm just gonna put a little bit of sauce on the top because I think I put a little too much sauce on the bottom. Now we are gonna top with a good amount of Parmesan cheese. I do have a little bit left of everything, so I think I'm gonna get a 9x9, and I'm gonna also fill a 9x9. So we'll have 2 9x13s and 1 9x9 of stuffed shells. All right, I'm gonna let these cool just a little bit more, and then we'll wrap them in 2 layers of foil, and I'll get them in the freezer. So the way I like to cook my freezer meals, and if you watch my day in the lives and vlogs and things like that, you'll see how I cook them, because I usually prepare them in those videos. But I like to thaw them because they do cook a whole lot faster if you thaw them first. I will usually take on Sunday, I'll take 2 or 3 of them out of the freezer and put them in the refrigerator. And that way they are thawed and I can cook those throughout the week. And I usually cook them at like 375, 350 for usually about 45 minutes until they're nice and cooked all the way through and nice and bubbly, and the cheese on the top is nice and golden. You can cook from frozen, but they take so long to cook from frozen. It's usually like 2 or 3 hours. And I usually don't think through fast enough to get them in the oven that soon. So that's why I try to pull out a couple on the weekend so that I know what I'll be cooking during the week. I went ahead and washed out my Dutch oven. This is what had the red sauce in it, and we're gonna get the vegetables going finally for the shepherd's pie. I harvested these carrots from my garden in July, and they have been in my refrigerator ever since, and can you hear how crunchy they are? How I keep them fresh that long, I don't have a root cellar or anything like that, and I have no desire to can carrots. I don't think I would like that at all. I'm not the hugest fan of cooked carrots unless they are cooked in something like shepherd's pie. I actually don't really like just to eat carrots that much if they're cooked. So the idea of canned carrots to me just does not sound super appetizing. So I try to keep them in the refrigerator as long as possible by wrapping them up in a towel and putting them in a Ziploc bag. And they've held for months like this. I think the reason that works is because the towel will absorb moisture when there's too much moisture, and then if the carrots need a little bit of extra moisture, they can reabsorb the moisture from the towel. I don't know, I just discovered that kind of on a whim, and it's worked really well for me, so that's how I've done it. If they start to get soft, I will chop them up, blanch them, and freeze them. But I have about 5 more containers in the refrigerator about this big, and so far I don't think that I'm gonna need to do that anytime soon. I can hear my butter sizzling over there, so I think I'm gonna get some of these carrots in there. So let's see, that'd be like 1 shepherd's pie, 2 shepherd's pie, 3. I think I'm gonna just chop just a few more. We're almost there. I caught that just in time. I almost just had burnt butter there. I'm gonna add some onions. These are pre-chopped onions that I had in the freezer, and I got out yesterday to thaw. You don't have to thaw your onions before you cook them like this. These are from the garden. This is for the chicken and the biscuit and for the shepherd's pie. So I'm making enough for 4 pans, and then I'm gonna divide this evenly between the 2. This is celery from the garden. One nice thing about when you put up food from the garden is it forces you to chop them, wash them, and when you get into the kitchen, it does save you time. There is a little bit of upfront time with actually getting everything prepped, but once it's in the house, preserved up, it sure does save a lot of time. I'm just gonna put the rest of that bag in there. I'm gonna add some pepper to this mixture, and I'm gonna add a good amount of salt. You wanna make sure you're flavoring every layer. I'm getting ready to make the cream of chicken for the chicken and the biscuit. The reason I am bringing you down here into this pantry is I ran out of flour in this container that I keep up next to my mixing bowl, so I have easy access to flour. I love these containers because they have such a wide opening. I can get my measuring spoon in there really easily. I'm gonna link these below because these are fantastic, and they have a really nice seal. They snap on, and these are just fantastic. I keep them for sugar, flour, oats, any of those pantry items that you need and you have to measure and you want to have good access. I just love these things. And we need to make a roux for the chicken and the biscuit and for the shepherd's pie. and I buy everything in bulk so that I don't run out. I actually have backups of backups. This is one container here. It's a 5-gallon food grade bucket that I keep in my cupboard with flour. This is organic white flour. And I have another one in my food pantry, my walk-in pantry. And that way I absolutely never, ever, ever run out of these staples because I do almost all of our own cooking from scratch. And you go through a lot of these staples and I just really can't stand running out of them. And that's why I keep an extra container, because then I basically have my own grocery store in my house. And I am making an entire mess down here. I keep these Gamma lids. These are called Gamma lids. They screw on nice and tight so they keep any bugs or any rodents or anything like that out of the container. And they're really easily accessible. If you store your containers with these white lids, which I have a few of these, but I do not use them, I should probably just donate them. I don't like using these because you need a crowbar to take them on and off, and they are a pain. And I do access this food. I do a lot of bulk food storage. I have a ton of extra food in the house. My dog is here eating some food, if you hear him crunching. And I do rotate it, so I want to have easy access. I am not in the mindset of storing 20, 30 years worth of food storage. I keep about a year's worth of food on hand, and I do actually like to rotate it. So all that to say, in my own grocery store, I was able to fill up my flour, and I didn't have to worry about running out or going to the grocery store in the middle of this big cooking day, because that is a big pain when you have to do that. So let's go finish up the shepherd's pie and the chicken and a biscuit. Into this, I am going to add some garlic, and I'm going to cook that just for about a minute, and then these vegetables are done. I turned the heat off, so I'm going to turn the heat back on just to get this garlic cooked through. To here, what we need to do is we need to add flour. I turned the heat off, so I need to turn the heat back on. I am just making a mess all over the place now. We're going to add 1 cup of flour. Oh, I did that wrong. So I added a half cup of flour, but I'm supposed to add the wine first. We're going to add 2 cups of red wine. It's okay, we messed up. It'll be all fine in the end. But it is better, ideally, if you actually cook the red wine before you add the flour. So we're just going to backtrack just a little bit and add that red wine. I think I'm going to just take some of this flour and meat up. It's okay if I get some of the meat up. Anytime you're cooking with alcohol, it is best if you cook down the wine a little bit, because it kind of gets that harsh alcohol flavor cooked out. Give this a clean here. I do try to clean as I go, because it makes the cleaning process in the end that much easier. Alright, so I'm going to turn this up a little bit because that has been off for a while, so it's pretty cool. These vegetables are done. I'm going to get them ladled up into the casseroles now. I don't want to overcook these vegetables because they are going to cook again. So as soon as the cream of chicken mixture is done and the vegetables are done, we'll just lay that on top. These 2 down here are for the shepherd's pie. I just haven't put the meat mixture in here yet. The sauce that goes in chicken and a biscuit is basically a cream of chicken. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the cream of chicken in this pan so that we can keep using this pan over and over and over, and we're not having to dirty another dish. You know, I don't have to wash this out fully because we're just using it one after the other. Just like I used this for the red sauce, now I've used it to cook all these vegetables, and now we're going to make the cream of chicken. I'm also going to get a little bit of parsley chopped up, or a lot of parsley, I should say. This is 2 full bunches. And I'm going to divide this parsley between these 2. I love cooking with fresh herbs. I think it's a really affordable way to add, especially parsley and cilantro, if you like cilantro, to add really great flavor, freshness for a pretty affordable price. Parsley and cilantro are 2 of the cheapest herbs to purchase that are fresh. And honestly, cilantro is the hardest herb for me to grow, so I buy a lot of cilantro. This is reducing down here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit all of this in here, but we'll see. I'm going to add just a little bit of thyme. I'm going to add some homemade tomato paste. I don't think that I'm going to be able to get all the cream mixture in here if I don't remove some of this meat mixture. So I'm actually going to remove some of this meat mixture and put it right into our casserole dish. Alright, that looks good. I'm going to have room now. We're going to add the flour back in. And we're going to cook this flour until the flour cooks out the raw flour flavor. I'm going to add a little bit more pepper to this. We're basically making a cream of beef here. I take that back because I don't have any beef stock on hand. I don't have any store-bought beef stock. I don't have any homemade beef stock, which is kind of sad. So we're just going to use what we have, and I have turkey stock. So we're actually going to use turkey stock for both this recipe and for the cream of chicken. If you have beef broth, I would highly recommend you use beef broth. I just don't have any beef broth, so that's not what we're using today, and that's okay. While this is thickening up, I'm going to get the cream of chicken started. I'm going to add some butter into our pot here. Get that melting. We're going to add some Worcestershire sauce to our beef mixture. We're going to move on to our next step with our cream of chicken here. I'm going to add flour, and we're going to cook the flour and the butter together. I'm going to let this cook. It's going to soften the flour, and then I'm going to be able to whisk the flour into this, and it's going to thicken up nicely. I realized I forgot that I needed to add peas to both the shepherd's pie and the chicken pot pie. So I went ahead and I'm going to make 3 of the shepherd's pies. You can't see it, but I have another one right here. I figured I would not be able to add the peas, the mashed potatoes, and the rest of the sauce. So I'm going to make a 3rd one. I don't want to thaw the peas or anything before I put them on because peas overcook really quickly. So I just put them in frozen, then they'll cook when they go into the oven. I did add some thyme to this and a little bit of pepper and salt because I tasted it and it needed a little bit of seasoning. It is thickening up really nice now. I did take a whisk to it to make sure all the flour and everything was incorporated nicely. Now we're going to add some milk. And we're going to let that cook, and then this is going to be done. We are starting to cook the sausage for the pumpkin pasta. This is one of my absolutely favorite dinners. It is my mother-in-law's recipe. We are going to be using a bunch of homemade, homegrown ingredients for this recipe, and I'm pretty excited about it. I'm adding some onions in here. These are the homegrown onions that I froze. We're going to cook those in there. I'm going to add a few more, but we're going to start with that bag. This cream of chicken is absolutely beautiful. I'm going to evenly distribute it between the two. These potatoes, I think, turned out perfect. Let's see. Yep, completely done. I'm going to strain them. Now I need to flavor these potatoes. I'm going to put a little bit of garlic powder in there. Milk. Pepper. I cannot find my potato masher. Fork it is. All right, let's give this a taste. You want your mashed potatoes on your shepherd's pie to be just as good as if you were to eat them by themselves. Add a little bit more salt. A little bit more milk. You know what I'm going to add? A little bit of Parmesan cheese, actually. I think that's what it's missing. The Parmesan cheese was exactly what I was missing on that. the last thing we have to cook other than making the sauce is I need to caramelize some onions and some peppers for the enchiladas. So I'm gonna get that going in here and we're gonna check on the sausage. So I'm putting the sausage in this Dutch oven so that I can make the pumpkin pasta in here and I have more room for the sauce. In here, I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil and I'm gonna get some onions and poblano peppers cooking for the enchiladas. These are more homegrown onions. I'm gonna add a little bit more onions to this pumpkin pasta because I don't think I quite had enough. I'm gonna put some pepper in here, pepper in here. While we're waiting for the onions, we're gonna go ahead and move forward with the pumpkin pasta. I need to put 2 blocks of 8 ounces of cream cheese into my onion and sausage mixture. Okay, for some reason I can't remember this recipe and I need to look it up again. Okay, so we've got the cream cheese in there. I need to turn the heat back on. I need to add garlic and then pumpkin. Have you guys ever tried pumpkin pasta before? The first time I had it, I was like, I don't know about pumpkin pasta, but let me tell you, it is absolutely delicious. I'm gonna add a little extra pumpkin actually because I have some in the fridge because I made pumpkin muffins yesterday. So there will be a little extra pumpkin in this, but that's okay. Oregano. This is homegrown oregano. And then we're supposed to put red pepper flakes in here. Let me get that extra pumpkin. I need to add one more ingredient to this pumpkin sauce, and that is Parmesan cheese. I need to get one more bag of this. Turn that off. The first time I made this, I forgot to add the Parmesan cheese, and let me tell you, the Parmesan cheese is really what makes this delicious. I'm gonna take our cooked pasta and put half of it in one and half in the other. And we'll get these mixed up. Let's get the enchilada filling mixed up started. To start the creamy enchiladas, I'm going to put some sour cream and cream cheese in our big bowl. We are going to get this mixed up. This recipe is pretty incredible. It is so good. We are going to use the turkey that I pre-cooked earlier in this recipe. I'm also going to chop up 2 big bunches of cilantro. Like I said, I love cilantro so much, but I know it's a very controversial herb, so you could use some parsley in here. I wouldn't use quite as much fresh parsley as I did cilantro, but you could definitely substitute that. We now are going to add a little bit of cumin and coriander. Give that a good mix. These are the onions that we caramelized up. I tried to cook them quite a bit. I then went and cooked the poblano peppers that I grew. This year's garden had the best pepper harvest I've ever had, and I'm so happy about it. You could also use canned chilies if you wanted, if you didn't want to go through the process of cooking them. I have 2 cans of my homemade salsa verde here. This is salsa verde that I actually made with green tomatoes. I have salsa verde that I made with tomatillos as well, but I like to use that with chips. This is perfect for the green enchiladas. I'm taking a 1/2 cup measure here and I'm trying to fill these quite full because I did make so much extra mixture. I like to put a little bit of the salsa verde on the bottom of the casserole so it doesn't stick. I roll them up and I've made the perfect amount of filling for 3 pans. I'm then going to take the rest of the salsa verde and put it on top and spread that out evenly, and we are going to smother this in cheese. I love the cheese part of enchiladas. And just like that, we have 3 pans of creamy enchiladas. I'm gonna take a few minutes now that we've done all the cooking, and we're gonna get a bunch of dishes washed. The only thing left we have to do is the marinades, and that's gonna be pretty quick, pretty easy, and I wanna get this dishwasher going. So let's get these dishes washed and the dishwasher going. A lot of you guys have asked what my freezer situation looks like, because if you're gonna make this many meals, you do need a good amount of freezer space. And I can tell you that I do have an entire freezer tour video. I actually have 2 deep freezers and then a stand-up fridge freezer that's in my pantry. I did a tour of those back probably 9 months ago. It was really before the garden season hit, because I wanted to show what my freezers look like pre-garden. And I am actually probably in about a day or two, I'm gonna be filming new tour, and you can see all the veggies that I preserved up throughout the garden season and what a deep freezer looks like with all these freezer meals in it. Now, I would love to have a stand-up freezer. I would prefer a stand-up freezer, but the problem is I know myself, and I am more likely to on accident leave a stand-up freezer door open. The risk of the investment is too great for that, so that is why I have chest freezers. And I can show you how I keep them organized, and I kind of know what is in what. And that'll be in a video coming out very soon. I was always really embarrassed to show you guys my sink because it was super stained and gross. Someone in the comments had recommended this, the Barb's Keeper's Friend, and I used this morning, and I wish I had taken a before picture because it looks so much better. It's not perfect. You can still see like kind of around here where there's some stains and scratches, because it's actually scratched too. It's not just stained. And this stuff, I don't know, I think it was like 99 cents or $2 at Walmart. Not sponsored. I just am shocked how well this worked. And I got that cleaned up, and it looks so much better. So thank you if you were the one that left in the comments to get this stuff, because I am super happy with how it turned out. We've got all the major dishes done, so let's get the marinades done. It's time. I'm gonna remind you what marinades we are doing. We are doing honey mustard, pork, and chicken. Honey mustard chicken is so good, and I think it'll be just as good with pork. These are pork tenderloins. All of this meat that we are gonna be marinated is all from Butcher Box. And can I just say, I am super thrilled with the quality. They come in the package like if you've ever bought chicken at Costco, where there's the 3 individual packages and there's like 2 or 3 chicken breasts in each package. Same with the chicken thighs. And I'm gonna show you, and then I have to go wash my hands again, but the chicken breasts are small, which to me, I like that. I don't like getting those massive, monstrous, huge chicken breasts. I always cut them in half. If you've ever watched any of my other freezer cooking videos or anything like that, you know I always cut the chicken breasts in half. And these are perfect size. I am so happy with that. I'm not gonna cut that in half. I'm thrilled. Let me go wash my hands and I'll finish telling you what we're making. So, where were we? We're doing the honey mustard chicken and pork. We're gonna do the Korean beef. It's a beef bottom round roast. I think I'm gonna cook that on the wood stove whenever I get around to cooking it. And we're gonna do beef and chicken. We are going to do, let's see, Greek chicken. I'm gonna do that with the breasts. Cranberry chicken, oh my gosh, cranberry chicken. So let's get going. First, we're gonna start with the honey mustard chicken. Whenever I do these marinades, I actually take the bag and I turn it inside out, so when I put the meat in there, the outside of the bag stays nice and clean, and I don't have to worry about making it a mess. I'm just gonna eyeball these ingredients. We're gonna start with some oil. We are going to put in mustard. I probably put a little too much oil in there. I'm gonna put in some honey. Some salt and pepper, homegrown basil. Now what I'm going to do is close these bags up and give everything a good mix. Mustard and pork just go so well together, so I'm imagining this honey mustard pork tenderloin is going to be a huge hit. So with my recipes, when I make these marinated meats, usually I cook them in the oven because I like them to be caramelized, and I like the sauce to reduce and thicken and kind of glaze the meat. You could put these marinated meats in a crock pot, in the Instapot, whatever method of cooking your chicken you like. I just prefer the oven or cooking on the wood stove because it caramelizes it and you get a really like glazy, rich sauce. For the cranberry chicken, I put 1 cup of cranberry sauce in each one of these. And now we're gonna make a homemade Catalina dressing. The first time I saw this recipe was actually made with bottled Catalina dressing and canned cranberry sauce. This is home canned cranberry sauce. So if you want, you can just open a bottle of Catalina dressing and a can of cranberry sauce, but I'm gonna make it homemade today. So this is ketchup. I'm putting in sugar, garlic. I'm running out of garlic here, so I'm gonna add some powdered garlic. Oil, grated onion. If that doesn't make you cry, whoo, I don't know what does. Whoo. I'm just gonna divide that onion between the two. And that is our cranberry chicken. I forgot a very important ingredient, the red wine vinegar. This is what's gonna help balance the flavor and give it its zing. If it didn't have this, it would just be too sweet, I think. My eyes are still watering from grating that onion. That is intense. I don't know if I've ever grated an onion before. Woo-hoo-hoo. We're gonna do a Greek marinade with the chicken breast. This is olive oil going in here. Lemon juice. Basil. Greek chicken is way better with fresh garlic, but I have used all my fresh garlic. I need to make a note to self that when I'm peeling garlic for these days, I need to do twice as much as I think because I always run out by the end. This is oregano and thyme. Homegrown parsley. Look at the color on that. It's so much greener than the store-bought parsley. I'm gonna put a lot in there. Black pepper, but I'm out of black pepper right now. I have to grind more. I'm gonna put a note on this bag that I'm gonna have to put black pepper on it when I cook it. Salt. And if I had used fresh lemons, I would put the zest of the lemon juice on here, but I did not use fresh lemons, so we're just gonna go with it. This is such a fresh marinade. I mean, it would be better if all these herbs were fresh, but just using what we got. The Korean beef was a recipe I wanted to try because it has Asian pear sauce in it, which I have an Asian pear tree, and I was able to make this sauce with it, but I did not follow the recipe at all because I didn't have like 4 of the ingredients. So I'm going to leave a link to the blog where I found this recipe, so if you want to try it, it is available down in the description box. Talk about a productive day. I took this entire day almost and I got 22 meals done. We got 2, 4, 6, 8 marinated meats, which are kind of the beginning of a meal because I still need to make 2 sides, but this is a great start for a meal. This saves me a ton of time. They're homemade marinades. I know exactly what's in them and I'm pretty excited about that. I got 13 meals that are completely ready to go, except for the chicken and a biscuit. The only thing I have to do when I pull this up to thaw it is I actually still need to make the biscuits, but I don't do that until I actually go to cook it. What I do is I take this, I throw it in the oven. Once it's nice and bubbly and hot and I know that the inside's hot, I go ahead and I put the biscuits on there so that I know that the bottom is gonna cook. If I was to put cold biscuits on cold filling, then the bottom is not gonna cook. So that's how I do that. So I still need to do that, but that's pretty easy. Let me recap. We got 2 chicken and biscuits, 3 stuffed shells, which is way more than I was expecting, 3 creamy enchiladas, 2 pumpkin pastas, 2 bulgogi beefs, I know I'm saying that wrong, 2 honey mustard marinades, 1 chicken, 1 pork, 2 of the cranberry marinated meat, 2 of the Greek marinated meat, and 3 shepherd's pies. I still do cook when we have freezer meals, but this is just a way that I don't have to cook every single night. I don't have to worry about it as much. This is insurance for me that if I don't have the energy or I don't want to, then I have still a home cooked meal that I don't have to think about. I love cooking. I love spending the day and doing this. I love cooking at night. I love doing that. I don't love the pressure of having to cook all the time. And because we mostly eat at home and we really are trying not to eat out very much for 2 reasons. 1, I grow a lot of this food. And so we need to make sure we're eating it. And 2, I like to know what ingredients are in things. And if I make it, that's a way to guarantee that I know what ingredients are in what we're eating. And 3, it saves us a lot of money. We've got some big projects we're wanting to do on this house, and going out to eat can get really expensive. We still do enjoy going out to eat, but after 2020 and realizing how much we were going out, eating out for us is more of a special thing. And so having these here really just ensures it's a peace of mind for me. It's almost like food insurance. It's meal insurance. This is meal insurance for me, that if I don't have the energy, I still have a meal that I can just throw in the oven and it's ready to go. The last thing we need to do is actually wrap these up. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna wrap them up in 2 layers of foil and 1 layer of saran wrap. I was trying to get away from the saran wrap, but what happened the last 2 times I just used the foil is the foil tends to rip if anything rubs against it, and because I do have a deep freeze, then I'm moving things around, there is a likelihood that the foil is gonna rip. So I am gonna do a layer of saran wrap this time. So many of you guys gave me the suggestions to buy the covers that go over these, and I would love to be able to do that, but I bought most of these at Goodwill, and they're all different shapes and sizes, so I wouldn't know which ones to actually go buy to buy the covers, like the silicone covers that go with them. If you guys do freezer meals, could you leave down in the comment section some ideas, because I'm always looking for new ideas when it comes to freezer meals. I do say you can go down your freezer aisle and you can get inspiration there, but let me know if you guys have favorite freezer meals, and I would love to try maybe your guys' favorites. That might be a fun video. Maybe the next one I just cook your guys' recipes as opposed to mine. Don't forget, if you're interested in any of these recipes, they will be linked down at scratchpantry.com. They also will be linked, like the bulgogi beef, I'm not saying that right, I will link to the blog where I got that recipe, so if you're interested in making any of these, you can go ahead and check those out. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you guys found value in this. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you know anybody that would enjoy watching this video, please consider sharing it with them. If you enjoyed this video and you want to watch more of my cooking videos, or you want to watch videos of me actually harvesting a bunch of this stuff, I will leave some videos right up here you can go watch. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Last one to go in the freezer.